In this edition of Indigenous Circle, I'm joined by Rosalie LaBillois, the New Brunswick representative who just met with Pope Francis. What was that experience like for you?
It was a very surreal moment in being there and just trying to be very present and really cherishing that time and soaking in being in his presence, but also being in the presence of all of our survivors that had come along with us, and that was an honor and a privilege within itself.
Yeah, what did he say of significance that stands out to you?
Some of the words that we had shared in our notes were, talking about, on languages and on climate change and, talking about the doctrine of discovery. And in his response, he had mentioned some of the things that we had talked about. And I don't know, for myself, it really demonstrated that he was listening to our words and really showed that, he's going to be reflecting upon what we had shared.
Did you say anything to him personally? Did you address him at all?
Yeah, as one of the delegates, we were broken up into 4 thematic groups, and my chair and I, Taylor Bain, she's a youth delegate. We had the last thematic group on healing, reconciliation, and future relationships, and so I shared of my perspective as an intergenerational survivor, coming from my grandfather attending the Shibenaki Indian Residential School in Nova Scotia. I understand that I can't speak on behalf of all the youth perspectives back home. That is not my story to tell, but I could tell of mine and of my families and of our experience. And the more educating I've done for myself and reflecting and just really becoming more compassionate, for where communities are at today. So, that's some of the messaging that I had shared was very much based on my own perspective and, the values that I hold today as a young Mi'kmaq woman and, where my leadership has stems from.
Yeah, and so he was given a number of gifts, one being a cradle board. What was his acceptance of those gifts?
In his reflection or his response to us, some of the items that we're giving had really a significant meaning, and they represented something that required a lot of deep thought and reflection for. And so he had mentioned that in his response and talking about the moccasins, of what they had signified, of that male or that boy and that girl's spirit, and and hoping that when he returns to Canada that he will bring those back. And same for the cradle board too, which will be there overnight and will hopefully come back home with us tomorrow. And I think that will demonstrate part of his commitment. If he could do this one thing, maybe I'll demonstrate what he'll do when he comes back to Canada, hopefully this year.
So he basically said he's coming to Canada then?
Last year there was an announcement, I believe in the fall time, that they did announce that they were going to be coming to Canada. So
he confirmed that today?
Yes.
Wow. And what was it like for you to be chosen to be a part of this historic event?
It was certainly a hard decision to come to, and because understanding the responsibility that this bears, not only understanding I just don't reflect myself, I'm reflective of my community, my family, my parents, my nation, and I was just trying to be the best representative that I can and to uphold that integrity that my family has taught myself.
And Rosalie, how is this experience going to change you? You're a young woman, a future leader. How is this going to change you going forward in your life?
I think, we had to advocate for these positions as youth delegates, or, we really talked about our reality as Indigenous young people, that yes, we did not attend these institutions, but we do live with its effects, whether it's our parents, our grandparents, our aunties, our uncles, and so, and thinking about that, I thought about what is this experience going to mean to me and the people that I'm with. That was utmost as I mentioned before, the greatest honor for myself to, and being somebody who brought up around ceremony, is being a helper, right? And being there to help and serve your elders and make sure that they're comfortable and being taken care of to the best that they can be. So there's a lot of things that kind of like went around that, but I think that experience itself is really going to be beneficial for my leadership, and where that may ever take me, it will be beneficial for those who I'll ultimately serve. It just wasn't about, this is a trip. It wasn't a trip. I was like, this is a really big responsibility that we all have as a collective, and that this was my way into fulfilling that for myself.
Right. And what does the future look like for you? Like, what are your goals?
I think I'll just leave that up to Creator. So I think I know better not to have any control or anything that, what I want to do, and just really believe in that whatever I'm meant to be, that I'll find it along my travels.
For sure. And I have to ask you, what's it like being in Rome?
It's a very beautiful city, and I think even the most powerful thing for ourselves is being able to wear our traditional clothing. And I mentioned earlier to one of my friends, I felt like we really are challenging European styles of beauty and standards of beauty with our presence being here. We see that back home, we feel like we hold up this different standard for ourselves, but being able to express our most authentic selves and being unapologetic about that is such a huge statement. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I have noticed in being here, and with our delegation, of course.
That's awesome. Well, Rosalie, a pleasure to meet you and speak with you. And Chimigwech.
Yes, Walang.